But yeah, so yeah, as you said, I'm part of the Just Eat strike that started in Sheffield. We work for a company called Stewart, and they're a French company that have the subcontract for Just Eat orders, as well as a bunch of other companies such as Apple and Superdrug and Co-op and what have you in the UK. Yeah, the IWGB is a union that's dealt heavily with the independent sector, so gig economy workers, where a lot of other unions have struggled to try to figure out how it would be able to mobilize. So the IWGB has been working hard for quite a while trying to figure out that system. We had a lot of pushbacks by our company before we took strike action. They started taking little perks that we had, little benefits that we had. They were hiring more drivers, creating more issues, but it was never enough to get drivers to bond together to say, do you know what, we're going to do something. It wasn't until they took the money, which is what inevitably gets everybody's hair to stand up, that people went, we can't do this, we're not having it. But it was still a very small group of people. In the very instance, I wasn't even a part of it. I didn't even know what was going on, because unlike a lot of workforces, ours is extremely segregated. We have no office. There is not one building for admin. There's not one place to go where to start our shift. We work when we want and where we want. And there's hundreds and hundreds of drivers in the city that just don't know each other. They don't even know. The only thing they know is they work for the same company. So developing a strike in that environment is very difficult, because you can't have, you can't stop people at the gates when they're leaving work. You can't arrange a meeting in the break room if you've got one of those. It took a small dedicated team of people to get out on the ground, go restaurant to restaurant, go place to place, and just talk individually to drivers and say, this is what we're planning on doing. This is what we want to do. Are you with us? And that was how I ended up on board. And I took up the mantle and carried on doing the same thing. And we kept spreading the word, and more people kept saying, yeah, we'll be with you. The union worked tirelessly in the background to plug us into networks, unions, and plug us in with politicians and get the media involved and to get the attention. But initially, any strike action is difficult to start, because, as the past guy said, it's kind of like a snowball. You're starting off really small. You're starting off with a couple of people who recognize the problem, trying to convince a lot of people who just think it's not worth fighting, it's not worth kicking up fuss. I don't want to lose my job, I don't want this, I don't want that. We've pushed, we've fought, we've stood on pickets, which was really hard to organize. We've had to picket restaurants, we've had to picket other people's businesses, because we don't have our own head office. So we've learned a lot about how you can adapt a strike. They don't always have to be the same thing. We think of strike action as you shut the gates of the business and you'll stand outside with your placards and have you, but striking doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be this one idea. And I think that evolution, that change is what's helped us to move on, where some of the other delivery companies have failed. Uber and Deliveroo, when they went on strike, it was a struggle. So yeah, so we picketed, we carried on pushing out and getting in contact with people, we carried on getting the media alert, we carried on, trying to gain some more traction, while at the same time struggling. Our fight was over pay. They stole our money, 24% of it, and it left everybody really destitute and struggling. And as everybody's self-employed, we don't have a union we didn't have a union in place at the time. We didn't have sick pay or any of that. We couldn't get a lot of the benefits a lot of other companies can get. So it was really off our own backs to start with. The union organised the strike fund, which helps. And I think one of those was always a very good idea, because that can help. Some people have and don't need. Some people, in order to help, need. And that strike fund helped them out. We've been going now 6.5 months, I think, coming into month 7. Like, we're into month 7 now and continuing on. And we haven't seen the outcome yet. But we have seen how even the most unorganised workforce, even the unorganised group, can take massive action against a company. I've been to Greg's AGM and shouted at their millionaires. Our union president went to the Just Eat one and had a go there. We've stormed head offices. We've been in the press. We've been on ITV, and I'm just a dad of 3 from Sheffield. I don't have a history in politics. I've never taken strike action before, but I've found a voice in this. I've found public speaking. I've given God knows how many speeches. I've been on radio shows. I've done all kinds, and I think learning those things and the opportunities come along. If somebody says you want to give a speech somewhere, even if you're scared, give it a go. Because as that develops, as the group develops, you develop a better mentality for striking. We've now got a really good system with a lot of really good leaders. So even though a lot of people, some people just come along and hope it's going to finish soon, and they bob and they weave and they wane and they falter. If you have a good initial force, a good initial team, it's enough to hold people together. It's enough to keep that going. And right now, that's what we're doing. 7 months in, it's all
1
about.
minute, Khalil.
But yeah, this whole idea of having a good place where people can try and figure out how to run a strike and win it. I think if you try to run a strike just to win it, you'll struggle. Don't try to run a strike to win it. Run a strike because you should run a strike. Win or lose for you could be win or lose for a lot of people. So if you just think personal, it makes it harder, it makes it personal. Try to just do it because it's the thing to do, and you might find that you get better advantageous situations from it and more help.
Okay, thanks, Khalil. I think it's so important to, hear from somebody who's been organising in the gig economy, because there's people out there that have said it's all too difficult, and you've really explained sort of how grassroots workers can organise